At 7 o'clock, we'll call the White Bear Town meeting for August 5th to order. Its first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Patrick, how are we doing?
Mr. Chair, I would submit to you additional data specific to items 5F, 6B, and 7B, supplemental information. I also would have you consider adding to our agenda discussion regarding 5508 West Bald Eagle Boulevard under added agenda items.
You want that under 9A?
Yes, sir.
6508 West Bald Eagle Boulevard?
5508.
55. And what's this concerning?
We've got some topics that Tom and I need to talk about, the property addition going on there.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, I need a motion to amend the agenda.
Motion to amend the agenda as noted.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That motion carries. Item number 3, I need a motion to approve payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is the approval of the minutes of the July 15th, 2019 meeting. Everybody have a chance to look through them? Any corrections, Steve?
Yes, yes, they were noted, and were they fixed?
Yes, sir.
All right, minor correction on page 9 of the minutes. I'll move to approve.
Have a second on the
I'll
motion?
second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, item 5 is consent agenda. We're going to do something a little different. Usually we have Scott read through these, but in order of conserving time, and it's a little bit redundant, unless any of these items, 5A through 5J, show interest that one of us should like to pull off, I would just look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is old business. 6A, joint powers agreement, the city of Birchwood. Patrick, you gonna take this?
Yep, Mr. Chair, submitted to you is a draft that was given to us from the Birchwood City Administrator. It has been run through Chad.
Yes.
And has met his approval. We would ask for your consideration to approve this, this project.
So is the basic change this item 4 that's calling out who will be responsible for any I&I that's flowing?
Yes, that was a big change.
Fine.
That and requiring that they televise their system in the event of an I&I issue.
Because that was our big concern.
Correct.
Correct.
Patrick, do you know, let's see, page 71, they show the map, or 73?
73?
Yeah. They show the map and there's a red circle that says potential White Bear Lake connection point.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world would the city hook up to that one? What does that mean?
Aren't you a builder?
Yeah, but that's a long ways away from the
Yeah,
city.
that, I could not answer that one, you know, and Dale touched on that with me when we were first talking about this. I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good one.
I don't,
Let me run it by him tomorrow.
unless
See
it's supposed to say Birchwood connection, and that was just
That would make more sense.
well, 'cause that's where they kind of
Yeah.
would connect, so. I don't know, you might want to ask, maybe they want to change that,
Yep,
so it's not confusing in the.
let me run that by him tomorrow.
All right, any other questions, Patrick?
Go.
All right, hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the joint powers agreement.
Well, I would have, other than it just jumped back, so I can't. I'll move based on town attorney and staff review and recommendations, approve the joint powers agreement, City of Birchwood and Town of White Bear 2019 Utility Sanitary Sewer Management Improvement Project, including Birchwood Lane lift station, connection to South Shore Boulevard.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Now, there was one other thing. I'll talk to Dale. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item 6B, Patrick O'Brien, 1382 Top Lane. Tom, are you going to handle that one?
I will, yeah, give you a presentation on that. This was actually reviewed by the town board at your July 15th meeting. Applicants here tonight, they were unable to attend the previous meeting. They had a date incorrect. So the town board was under the 60-day clock and did take an action to deny the request as submitted. But let me give you a quick reminder of what was proposed here. It's a minor subdivision splitting one parcel into 2 lots. It requires a couple of variances for the one lot. This is South Birch Lake Boulevard over here, Top Lane right here. Property in question, kind of an oddly shaped piece. The O'Brien home is right here with the driveway accessing Top Lane. They were looking for town approval to split the property into 2 parcels. Again, the existing home fronting on Top Lane here. What they'd like to do is draw a new lot line right here and make this a buildable single-family lot. So the specifics on this parcel 1 is would be a 90-foot wide lot by 207 feet deep, 18,000 and some change square foot. That pretty far exceeds the town's 12,000 minimum square foot lot requirement and 80 foot of frontage on a right-of-way. The second lot will require 2 variances. It's proposed to be 89 deep, or 89 at the corner here by 110 deep. It's 9,796 square feet approximately. With that, it's less than 12,000 square feet, so it's a 2,210 square foot variance request. And then a 15.95 lot width variance. Corner lots required to be 105 feet in a single-family residence. So this went through the review process, the variance board and the planning commission. The variance board reviewed it in June, did recommend approval of the variance, but asked the applicant to consider shifting this lot line 10 feet, creating more square footage for the lot, getting it closer to that 12,000 square foot. Of course, that would eat into this lot a little bit here. When the planning commission, they reviewed that, they reviewed the recommendations of the planning commission, or of the variance board, I should say, and they recommended approval of the variances and the lot split as is. Both of the groups, actually the variance board, when they reviewed it, they recommended, and the planning commission, I should say, both recommended that if this subdivision is approved, that no future variances be permitted for any new home to be constructed on the lot here. So design a home accordingly, don't ask for variances. Again, reviewed by the town board, July 15th. The board took the action to deny it that night, but forwarded formal action on that until tonight in order for staff and the town attorney to come up with findings for the denial. Those are in your supplemental packet. That's an update. As I mentioned, the applicant is here tonight, and I think he has a few comments or would like the board to consider the application as is, and might have some more comments.
So have you met with the applicants about realignment to get the lot bigger or not?
Yes, we discussed that at the variance board, and after the meeting, after the town board action, yeah, I discussed that option, and he's looked into it, and I think he has some comments.
Okay, any other questions to Tom?
No.
Or Steve?
No.
Not? All right, if the applicants would like to come up to the podium, just introduce yourself, your address.
I got a couple of handles I'll pass out. All right. What's that? Sorry. Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick O'Brien. I'm the one that's putting the request in for the subdivision. What I've tried to do is just try to keep a nice straight line with the subdivision of the property. By shifting it over to increase the lot size would actually move into the curb and gutter of the existing house, so that would put some more burden on me on that part. And that, yeah, for that is the driveway. If we moved it over feet, it would definitely take up the driveway, and of course the curb and gutter would have to be realigned on 1382. As you see in the handout I have there, there's 4 main topics that I kind of want to talk about. Precedent setting. If you look at the second page, you can see what I'm proposing is it's at 0.23 acres. The adjacent property right there is at 0.17 acres. And then if you flip it to the second sheet, I just did a slight blowout of the neighborhoods nearby, and all the ones that are highlighted are at or below the 0.23 acres in the surrounding area. The back page is pretty far away. That's northern part of the township. I just showed that up there. You got lots down to 0.14 acres, 0.11 acre. But the big thing is the properties within a few blocks of my proposal are at or below what the square, or the basically square footage of what I'm proposing to subdivide. Is there anything that I missed? And then you can see the second topic, need a variance. I'm assuming that you guys are reading that. Is there? With my proposal, I would only need 2 variances of the subdivision. If we move over the property line into the existing, then I would have another variance on the property where the house is right now. A fair and equal opportunity for being able to do this. Positive results for that property is, of course, more revenue into the township. The house definitely would be sized according to the lots for the single family residence. Right now, do you guys have any questions for me? Or?
Steve? Nope. Scott?
Scott? No.
Well, Patrick, part of the reason we denied this request is, I know you've cited smaller lots, but these are really old lots. When we do developments now, we don't intentionally try to create these small lots. We're trying to eliminate these small lots. So when we looked at this proposal, in fact, even some of the members of the variance board and the planning commission had issues with that. When we do this and we create a smaller lot, we've just said now that's our standard, and the next guy down the road is gonna use that against us. So the reason we wanna keep these things as large as we can is just for that reason. I understand the value in you splitting it off. I understand the chance of using it. Variances used to be hardship. Now it's more of reasonable use of the property. And so it's getting harder for us to allow these variances, especially when it comes to this many with one lot. And that's kind of where the board was coming from. So that's why we were looking at if you can get this thing up at all, up to closer to that 10,000 square foot range. That's coming in closer to what we've applied or okayed before. We keep dropping those standards, and it's just going to keep coming back and biting us. So that's why we were looking for any way for you to somehow get that lot size up. That's why we were hoping you would work with Tom to, if there was any kind of realignment we could do to make that thing bigger.
Okay. And according, and the actual number is on the two smallest ends. It's not a square property. I didn't go out and get it resurveyed for this, because the street side and top lane and the proposed line is would be a longer distance than the two shortest points that we had down for 98 and 110. So we just did the math off the two smallest points on this proposal. So it's actually more square footage on there, but I don't know for sure until I actually had a survey straight line across to give that number. Being a corner lot there, increasing it by a couple of feet, really, it puts a burden on both properties, and instead of just having it just on that corner lot, and then build something that's suitable for that lot. Adding or increasing it on the other side would, of course, put a burden on the property that the house is on right now. With
Well, me personally, I can't
Variances.
speak for the other two board members. It's not so much the variances for the setbacks, to me, it's the lot size. And that's where I'm having a hard time okaying this.
I'll make a comment on that also. You know, you gave us this nice aerial map, and that is the exact problem with these lots. They're old, small lots, and as things change, that's the same thing we're gonna struggle with, because they're all substandard sized lots. And they make it difficult for people to do things with, and it's the lot size. We need to get it larger, to get closer to what our rules are. And I mean, I'd strongly suggest, if you don't think that that's surveyed correctly, you're gonna have to get the exact numbers, because numbers matter when it comes to the size of the lot.
like I said, it's the numbers that I gave you are the two shortest distances. That is a fact, but I can't go ahead and get another survey for something I don't have permission to. That would be
Well, it's the lot size.
I agree with both of you.
You're gonna have to introduce yourself again.
Sure. My name is Barbara. Tom, I have a question for you. Can you give us an indication of when the development to the south of Top Lane was developed?
Now, that's Fisher Lane, I believe. and-
Correct.
It was in the 80s, I believe. It predated when I started here in the 90s.
So that's kind of where the board stands. We're just struggling with that lot size. I know you everybody likes to keep it nice, clean, straight lines, but there's gotta be some way of manipulating this thing. I know your house is sitting on a bigger lot. Somehow you gotta figure out how to take some of that square footage and add it to the smaller one. Whether you're gonna do a jog in the line or how you wanna do it, but I think we're kind of at an impasse now. That's the only way we're probably gonna allow this to go through. So that's why I strongly advise, if you want to work with Tom, or maybe a surveyor, if there's something that they can maybe, who did the survey? I didn't remember.
Bradley Canaday?
the
Okay, yeah. It might be worth a call to him too, to see if he can pull it up and see if he's got some.
yeah, the survey is, of course, back in '04 or something. That was predating the new Top Lane. Top Lane used to be an alleyway street, and the survey you see is the road actually shifted to the northeast of there.
Well, then this might have to be updated anyway before we can even okay a lot split anyway, so.
What's that?
This may have to be updated if it's from '04, even if you want to try to split the line.
Yeah, there's more ground there now than there was before
Right.
Top Lane was
Well, I think it's to your
increased.
advantage to revisit this with a surveyor. Like I said, I think if we can close in on that 10,000 mark with it.
We're
they
close
just-
to 10,000, yeah.
You get to that, I think we'll be fine with it.
Guess I'd like to look at the geometry too. The plan you passed out showed .23 acres, which, that's getting close to 12,000 square feet, so I think we need to look at the calculation there and have a surveyor put it together. And as I had mentioned, the board's direction, based on the last meeting, was to deny, and then, but with a denial comes, so you can't apply again for 6 months. And the board said that they would waive that review if we wanted to take another look at it and see if we could increase that square footage. That was the board direction at the last meeting. Obviously, it's your direction tonight too. What your decision is, what direction you want to go tonight with this.
That work for you guys?
Any comments, Barb?
Well, I think step forward is definitely waiving the 6-month reapplication.
Yeah, we're willing to do
Yeah,
that.
we're willing to do that.
Are there any resources that the township can provide, since there have been no updates in terms of when Top Lane went from being an alleyway to being a roadway? Are there any resources that the township can provide to validate those numbers? so
Jim, can
that
you respond to that?
As-built information.
But, Mr. Chair, members of the board, it didn't change the right-of-way, though, correct?
No, it just shifted the
So,
location of the
so it's
road.
not impacting the property itself, they're just saying the location or the width of the road, or those improvements may be different, but those are outside of the property
Okay.
that they own, so it wouldn't make any difference.
I was inquiring whether there would be any resources that have existed since that roadway has gone in relatively recently that would allow for Patrick to not make further financial investments, only to run into a same thing. So if he has to pay for a reapplication fee, if he has to pay for, more additional services, I'm wondering if there are data points or data that could help, that already exists, so that he would not have to outsource his own finances to prove the geometry of this lot.
Well, I'm not aware of any. Patrick?
No, not that I know of.
Unfortunately, the board decided that it needs to be larger, and so the onus is back on the property owner. Suggestion, you call the prior surveyor and they update, they don't charge most of them do not charge for a full survey again if they update their things. So you may get a price break there anyway. Now, prices may have changed, but I'd start with your survey company and see what they can do for you. But
Okay?
I got nothing else.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess that would be, my next step would be to see if I can get more accurate footage
And like I
of.
said, stay in touch with Tom. If you need any assistance, he'll be able to guide you too. All right?
I have a question. Were you provided the findings of fact? Did you just see what those were, why it was denied? Did you pick those up back?
We just saw it when.
We picked them up. In
Okay.
fact, actually, it was quite a surprise to see that the White Bear Lake paper had covered this, and it was communicated, the denial was communicated in the paper prior to anyone communicating to Patrick. So that's actually how he found out.
Well, these are open meetings and the press covers all of our town board actions, so.
Yeah, it was an interesting article,
Really
as
can't
opposed
stop
to, town meeting minutes or any postings. It was an entire article, which also only heightens the issue personally.
And the town board apologizes for the
Yeah.
confusion. We really are sorry that was messed up.
And for the record, did you state your last name for the record? Did you get her last name? Okay, because you've been speaking to, and we need to know who you are.
Sure. My last name is O'Brien.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks.
All right.
All right, Patrick, you've got on here, the motion is for accepting the findings for denial,
Yes,
and those are the ones that are in our supplement.
correct.
So I'd be looking for a motion to do so.
I'll move based on the town board review, and I gotta get to the same right one, excuse me. Based on the variance board, planning commission, and staff review and recommendation, oops, that's the wrong one. See, that's what happens when you jump through these things. Hang on.
I've got it if you'd like me to do it.
All right, scratch that. Computers are wonderful when they do for you. Accept the revised finding of fact as pointed out in our packet of tonight's meeting. Move to do that.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Okay, moving on, item number 7A, we have a public hearing for a side yard setback variance request, 3940 Lakewood Avenue. To start off, I would need a motion to waive the reading, noting it's been properly published.
I'll make that motion noting the proper publication of the hearing in the newspaper and waive the reading.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? And I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Tom?
Okay, this is a property located in the south side of the township in the Eastwood Manor neighborhood, 3940 Lakewood Avenue, existing single-family home with a detached garage. And the applicant is looking at a couple of variances to pave a driveway along the side lot line around the home to access the garage, which is right here. So this is Lakewood Avenue here, front of the home. Existing gravel driveway, looking to pave that driveway 3 feet from the side lot line. That will require a 6.375-foot side yard setback variance and also an 8.7% green area variance. Again, it's to provide access to the existing garage. The lot itself is 75 feet wide, considered an undersized lot of record. 80 feet is the standard. It's 10,890 square feet in area. Again, considered undersized. 12,000 square feet is the minimum today. The driveway is proposed to be 12 feet 4 inches wide between the home and 3 feet from the side lot line. The town does permit 30% impervious coverage on a single-family home lot in this neighborhood here. Mr. Nelson is proposing to cover 38.7% of the lot, so that's the 8.7% green area variance being requested. Town has reviewed a number of variance requests for garages, driveways in the Eastwood Manor neighborhood. This is an older neighborhood developed in the 50s and 60s, mostly ramblers, many with single-car garages. So the town has reviewed several variances to increase or tear down an existing single-car garage and allow a double-car garage. And pretty much the standard setback now is 5 feet, even though it's a 10-foot requirement, or a little less than that if it's a narrower lot in this case. We still process those as variances. We've not adopted a zoning ordinance amendment adopting a 5-foot side setback in this neighborhood. But again, several variances have been approved in this area. Now again, this is a 3-foot setback being proposed, not a 5-foot. Variance Board, Planning Commission both reviewed the requests as proposed, and both of those bodies did recommend approval of the variances as requested.
All right, Steve, you got any questions of Tom?
No, I thought the variance board and planning commission were pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I just wanted to double check. Right now, there is a gravel driveway,
Yes,
and it goes right up to the lot line.
it does.
And so
Real
now
close.
it's going to actually be further away from the lot line with the, whatever it is, concrete or asphalt or
Yeah,
whatever.
plan is for a 3-foot green strip between the newly paved driveway and the lot line.
I know this area receives a lot of this kind of applications because of the age of the area. The township policy always has been to accommodate these kinds of requests, only because we like to see things inside a garage and not outside around the building. So it's not quite out of the norm. Was it unanimous on the variance board and planning commission?
Yeah, I believe it was.
All right, any other questions of Tom?
No.
I would be looking for a motion to open up to public comment.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, anyone wish to speak to this application? Now is your time. Going once, going twice, hearing none. Look for a motion to close the public portion.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, if there's no further questions, I would be looking for a motion on this application.
Based on the variance board, planning commission, and staff review and recommendations, approve the 6.375-foot side yard setback and 8.7% green area variance to pave a driveway 3 feet from the side lot line for 3940 Lakewood Avenue.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item 7B is another public hearing. It's for a right-of-way variance request at 5216 Park Avenue. Again, I would be looking for a motion to waive the reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading, noting proper publication of the hearing notice in the newspaper.
Have a second?
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Now we need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, Tom?
All right, this one is on the north side of the lake in the White Bear Beach neighborhood. This is Stillwater Street right here. Park Avenue, between Longville Park and Highway 96 right here. 5216 is the property, this corner lot right here. You can see it's a very small lot. In fact, it's 5,998 square feet in area. It's a corner lot that's just under 50 feet wide by 120 feet deep. Again, the standards for a corner lot today are 105 feet on each side and 12,000 square feet in area. Town requires a 35-foot setback from a public right-of-way. There's an existing single-car garage located on the parcel right here, fronting on Stillwater Street, right here. It's built right up to the right-of-way or the lot line here. There's also an existing shed behind the garage right here. Both of those are proposed to be demolished in favor of the new 24 by 24-foot garage, which is proposed to be shifted back from the lot line 10 feet from the home, meeting rear setback requirements on two sides. But it does require approval of where's the number? I guess doesn't, a 24-foot right-of-way setback variance. 10 feet from the right-of-way, 24-foot right-of-way setback variance, and also a 3% green area variance. Structures are proposed to cover 30% of a lot here, and they're proposing 27% coverage. So it's a larger garage being proposed, covering a little bit more square footage on the lot, but it is shifting the garage further back from the right-of-way, actually creating a setback from the property line. So this has also been reviewed by the variance board and the planning commission, and both of those bodies have recommended approval as proposed.
So I'm sorry, I
I
thought this was for a 3-season porch.
All right, timeout. Please refer to your supplemental packet. The information provided in the packet that you got
that addresses
was for a
it.
variance that was reviewed 2 weeks ago. Sorry about that. So no porch proposed for this one, strictly a garage.
It still says okay, let me,
All right. Two-car garage.
I've forgotten that detail.
I thought it was just me.
okay, so
No, it was
the
just me,
subject,
apparently.
the subject still says a 3-season porch, but you're saying that's wrong, this is for a garage.
Or garage.
For a new garage.
If I may, you approved that at the last meeting.
Yeah. But it's the same address? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
It's not.
Okay, so there were two 5216s. There was a 5216 Grand and a
believe that was in
5216
a
Park, which is really weird,
That's.
but, okay.
We just have
So,
a typo.
Yeah, and so, but all the information provided in your packet was for the previous variance. So we put together all the information for this one in your supplemental packet, so.
so we had the wrong information for the last one that we approved.
No, for the last ones you approved, you had the right one.
That was
You just
Grand
got that
Avenue.
info again.
That was 52 something Grand
16
Avenue. This
Grand.
is Park Avenue. That's,
Yeah, this is about.
the other one was Grand Avenue.
I thought it was a little odd that both similar addresses were building three-season porches. but- Okay,
Different
He's
streets.
keeping up with the Joneses.
well,
Yeah.
so this actually is for a garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The subject still says
Yeah.
three-season,
Yeah.
but the action below says two-car garage. Just,
Okay, so, sorry, didn't want to jump on that.
I think he tried to confuse us. You did a good job.
Yeah, I was gonna say it worked.
Wow. Okay, so then that's what this is all about.
All right, Tom, this, height is no bigger, or no taller than the house, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And it's the same footprint?
The garage itself is a little bit bigger
Okay.
in square footage.
All right, Steve, were you at the planning commission when they looked at this?
Not that I remember. Was I? I attend a lot of meetings. I don't remember this one personally.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, you have any questions to Tom on this?
No.
Scott, I think you attended in my place.
Oh, yeah, maybe I did. It's not ringing a bell.
All right, there are no questions to Tom. I'd be looking for a motion to open up for public comment.
So moved?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
All right, anyone here to speak to the mystery garage? Hearing none, going once, going twice. Okay, motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, hearing no other discussion, be looking for a variance, I mean, a motion to approve, not a three-season porch.
No, a garage. And Mr. Chair, I apparently was at that meeting.
What, did you look at the minutes?
I know I looked at my calendar. So I was there. Sorry about that. So based on the variance board, planning commission, and staff review and recommendation, approve the 13.5-foot right-of-way setback variance to allow construction of a two-car garage at 5216 Park Avenue.
I'll second that.
That's the
Motion's made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Uh-oh.
No, no, we're not.
I have this,
Look at this again.
yeah, I have this down as a different variance than you
Here.
just approved. So the actual request
Okay,
is a
that's it.
You're done.
I think so.
24-foot right-of-way setback variance
That's correct.
and a 3% green area variance.
Says right here. And that's what it says down in the consent agenda. Well, scratch that.
So since that's been,
That's the information from the
Should
previous
move to
variance.
rescind the last motion and
yeah,
do it again.
I'll move to rescind the last motion I made.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we're gonna try again?
There you go.
Are we sure about this?
Well, based on what I have in my hand, I am. All right, so we'll go back and we'll try this one more time. Based on the variance board, planning commission, and staff review and recommendation, approve the 24-foot right-of-way setback variance to allow construction of a two-car garage on the following described property Lot 17 and blah, blah, blah as noted, 5216 Park Avenue.
Mr. Chair, I think you also have to prove a 3% green
Yep.
space variance as well, green variance as well.
And a 3% green space setback variance.
No.
No,
No?
just green space
Green
variance.
space.
Variance, period. Done. That's noted.
Is there anything else?
That's it.
All right, you want to second that motion?
I'll second that amended motion.
All right, motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Tom, that was confusing.
Sorry.
All right, moving on. Item 8A, well number 5, seepage pond improvements. Jim, are you going to take this one?
Yep. Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you'll recall, some of you, back in 2016, we worked with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for the reconstruction of the pond. We did performance on cleaning out the pond for the berms and the outlet structure. All those things have been performing well for the last 3 years. Now, as the well itself and the purification of the water as it goes through, the seepage pond collects the sediment, and that has been filling up in our seepage pond, which restricts the amount of infiltration that occurs and reduces the capacity of the seepage pond itself. And with the high demands through the summer, we run that well a lot, and we need to make sure that we have the capacity and the ability to use it as much as possible. What we are asking for tonight is for us to work with the MPCA again and Public Works, and we will go through and have the existing seepage pond cleaned out again. There are multiple components with that activity, and then you get into the acceptable removals and the location of depositing that material. So there's quite a few requirements that we need to deal with as we put together that activity. What we're asking tonight is for us to prepare those plans and specifications and perform the bidding process for amount not to exceed $2,150. We'll go through that process and then bring the bid results back to the town board for approval, and all of this would come out of the water operating fund.
All right, questions?
Go over this again, Jim. Back in 2016, when we were putting back well number 5 back in, they did work back out in the holding pond.
Correct.
And it's just filled up faster because of all the production we've been using? Is that kind of what we're up to? It needs to be done again.
Twofold is we are running the well a lot, and the other component is with the treatment plant being improved, it is performing the way it should be, which is creating more deposits. So in the past, when the filter system wasn't performing as correctly, and we continue to improve upon these things, it's taking more stuff out of the water as we go forward.
Okay.
So it's a double component of usage and that the facility is functioning properly.
No other questions for me.
I guess I was going down that same road of, I was wondering what the lifespan is. So it's been 3 years. Is it going to be another 3 years? We're going to have to do this again. And it sounds as though you're saying it's like a finer filter that's catching more stuff this time around. Do we need a bigger capacity to handle it in the future? Or is that what this survey is going to consider?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, depending on the amount of usage, yeah, we're going to be in that 3 to 5 year range. The ability to increase this site is, I would say, extremely minimal. we have the power station to the south side, and we have
Does this
either low-
overflow into ditch 14? County ditch 14?
it through the lowlands surrounding this seepage pond. It has to go through that before it does get into
So all the
ditch
wetland,
14.
it filters through the wetlands and then ultimately to ditch 14,
Well, the
Or like growing?
after it
So
comes
if-
out of the sediment pond.
So if you, the picture in the diagram, to the west and to the north is all lowlands. The ditch 14 is a significant distance north of
So
those
this doesn't actually
lowlands.
have an outflow going into the ditch, it goes into the wetland.
Correct, correct. And the amount of seepage that occurs is an acceptable amount. The water has had all the sedimentation taken out of it. The ability to try to expand that, I do not see occurring
How
in
deep is this
this.
pond?
The pond is 5 feet deep with a 1 foot additional surface area to allow it to exceed that amount. At the 5 foot of elevation, there is a pipe for a discharge, but if you were to open that, we'd have to go through an approval by the MPCA in the first place. That is, at this point, basically never to be opened unless under an emergency
Well, aren't you still gonna
situation.
have to deal with Velamo to even work in this pond? Is it under their jurisdiction, or is it ours?
We're under a maintenance, I mean, it's basically just dealing with an existing condition. So we've already gone through all the permitting processes and everything back in 2016. So right now, we are just in a maintenance activity of the pond itself.
So when it was built in 2016, or it
Well,
was there
the-
before then? It was
Yeah,
there before
It
then.
was built in the 80s.
But it was modified under the MPCA direction back in 2016 to its current size and capacity, or was that?
The size has remained the same since the original design in the 80s. There was just the bringing it up to current requirements depending on the ability for the seepage, the outlet control structure, the elevations. So there was more specifications within the existing structure, the existing pond itself.
When it was brought up to code a few years ago, I'm assuming it was cleared out at that point as well?
Correct.
And I'm just curious, you mentioned disposition, I'm curious where that went then, and is it going to go to the same place, or is that part of what you're going to have to determine?
It'll be a landfill or an acceptable area for the materials.
What exactly are the
Everything-
materials?
For the most part, I mean, it's the iron that is the main component, and you'll see it's a reddish bottom in the seepage pond itself. But there'll be tests done. The location that the material will be taken to will have to meet the requirements based on the tests that are done. So there's a lot of
So anything that comes out that is taken out of our water to make it more drinkable is potential sediment that's in this pond.
correct.
Okay, so, but primarily iron. Okay.
Okay, all right.
And we've got pretty good access to this?
Yes, we improved everything in 2016, worked with the gates, the ramps, the vehicles. Public Works mows this thing every so often, so we have taken care of all of our, made improvements through time.
All right, any other questions of Jim?
No.
All right, looks like you've got two motions here, Jim. Authorize preparation of plans and specs and authorize advertisement for bid.
Correct.
We want to take those one at a time.
So I'll go ahead and, based on the town engineer review and recommendation, authorize preparation of plans and specifications for removal of the sediment and disposal of the materials.
A second on the motion?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
And based on town engineer review and recommendation, authorize advertisement for bids for an amount not to exceed $2,150 to perform both tasks with funding from the Water Operating Fund.
Second on the motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, moving on. Item 8B, the water main replacement study. This is for East Bald Eagle Boulevard and Hugo Road. Noticing Dale's not here. Are you going to take that, Patrick, or are you, Jim?
I will, and Mr. Chair, members of the board, I forgot to mention too that we did go through both of these at our executive meeting when Public Works was present, and Dale himself reviewed both of these items for tonight's town board agenda. So Public Works is also in agreement with this process. And it is Public Works that has been out dealing with the water main failures in both of these areas. We have had several of them occur, and due to the traffic in the area, the proposed improvements of streets coming forward, we want to look at options for improving these mainline water mains so that we don't have issues going forward, both based on improvements that are coming in the future, and so that we're not out dealing with reactionary components, i.e. water main breaks, meaning you're dealing with stuff overnight, on weekends, holidays, those type of things. So these two areas have had enough concern and corrective measures that we want to look at options in the best way to make improvements to those. And that's why we'll perform this review and come back to you with both different methods for improvements and the costs to do those improvements.
What are the size of those lines now? Are they,
Some are 8, parts of it are 8 and up to 12-inch
what material?
ductile.
Is it possible? I don't know if we talked
So-
about this. Is
some
it
of the-
possible to line them?
Yes, all the different methods you look at as to what is your ability to either dig pits for access of traffic. Some of the stuff gets into the soils in the area, the water table. I mean, there's several components if we're going to end up trying to do the pipe bursting, the lining, directional drilling. Another component is how many services do you have connected to the lines. That means you have to do individual connections under certain methods. So there's quite a few things to look at, and then also work with the county in their right-of-way.
Any idea of the depth of this main line?
Everything is roughly 8 feet down.
How old is it roughly?
How old's dirt?
Yeah, how old? Dirt. How old is dirt?
So we're experiencing higher issues than what we would expect. So we're sure there's other components that are leading to the breaks that are occurring.
I see dollar signs attached to that.
You know,
Plus, these roads are due for major repairs, so
I
it's
suppose.
something that's got to be done before that happens.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
you're right.
And
Yeah.
another component with the costs are reactionary fixing breaks is not a
Yep.
low-cost activity.
All right, any other questions of Jim?
No.
Hearing none. Do I have a motion for this?
based on Public Work Director and Town Engineer review and recommendation, authorize preparation of a study for water main replacement along East Bald Eagle Boulevard and Hugo Road in an amount not to exceed $2,750 with funding from the Water Operating Fund.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded, and all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. All right, item 8C, the OPG 3 online permitting. Patrick, you gonna take that one?
Yep, Mr. Chair, for the board's consideration this evening, we need to give some kind of a commitment via our fee schedule to OPG 3 to get us in the queue for reconstruction of our website so that we can process these requests for permits, et cetera, administratively or electronically. We are currently, if we commit to this, probably about fourth or fifth on the list, which doesn't get us started until probably October with a finish date of around January 1st. We do have the ability, once we've submitted these fee schedules, as it's noted in your memo, to edit them on the back end, but we needed to get them submitted so that they can get going on this project and we don't go too far out. So I am proposing that we accept this first step of the implementation of going electronic with our permits, et cetera. And OPG 3 gave us the presentation. It would have been in your June executive board. So this is follow-up to that.
Well, personally, I wasn't all that impressed with their presentation.
Well,
I think
you
they
should
have
have
some
been there
bugs
in
to work
person.
out.
You should have been there in person. Yep, it didn't,
Yeah,
it wasn't impressive.
That didn't go over very well.
No. But the need and the fulfillment of that need, I think, is pretty clear. If we want to get in on the front end of updating this part of the services that we provide, we need to get in the queue sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think this is a step forward in our infrastructure management. And the fact, I agree with what you said, that it would have been a much more impressive probably presentation had they been there in person.
Yeah.
But having said that, really, you're not really asking us to look at your last statements and review the fee schedule. We're not really reviewing the fee schedule tonight. We are just looking to move forward with the proposal to enter
That is correct.
that information and get in queue for implementation, hopefully.
Yes, I'm sorry if I misstated that. You are correct.
Okay. No, I think it's a step forward, personally.
And we will, as part of this this project, we will be reviewing, editing both of our ordinance, our existing ordinances, as well as our fee schedules, so that we can get this all on board, hopefully coinciding with everything together.
And our online goal really is to have a more robust way for people to get permits done online, and for us to know what people are requesting from
Correct.
us and tracking them.
Yes. So it kind of removes the subjectivity of whether or not a person has the ability to easily apply for a building permit, for example. It is there for everybody to take advantage of whenever they want, not necessarily between the hours of 7 and 4:30.
Well, I think that's a big point, yeah. It allows for self-service and is not dependent on staff availability.
Yep.
Yes.
And you mentioned something else that I guess you'll be reviewing not the accuracy, but the fee structure to make sure that it's making sense
Yes.
for, okay.
Yep. And we'll have that opportunity to do that edit on the back end once we get rolling on this.
And the presentation was, even though it was remote, it walked kind of a person through the process of when they would need to have an inspection and everything else, the site plans and things that they need to have ready versus talking to a person and getting the same answer.
Yes, and I mean, as you alluded to, it's a multi-layered approach to this, that it's kind of the one-stop shop at this point. And we feel that that's going to be much less cumbersome for our residents to handle.
Patrick, has our building inspector, Mike Johnson, reviewed these sheets?
Yes.
Because I got a question for why there's no plan review. It's actually on page 119, but there's no plan review for any kind of grading on the property. I always thought that required some sort of site plan.
Hold on. I thought that I had that in the memo.
I don't know if that's something Mike might want to look at, or maybe it doesn't apply, but I always thought you had to have a site plan if you're going to start grading someone's property.
We've got staff meeting tomorrow. I will ask him that question, Mr. Chair.
Otherwise, that's the only thing I saw in here.
Okay.
They got grading, excavation, residential, but it doesn't, it says
in commercial, but there's no plan review.
No.
Boy, normally that's kind of critical. That's, the
Yep.
last thing we want is someone
You're right.
diverting water off their property into the neighbor.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one. I will find that out, though.
All right, any other questions of Patrick? You,
No, I'm good.
hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to authorize submission of the fee schedule to OPG3 to begin the next step in implementation of the online permitting process.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
This is all pretty cool. It's tying together with what we're gonna do with GIS, with going everything, all of our forms and documents electronically, and then getting this narrowed down to being done online as well. It's kind of wrapping our arms around the whole thing, and it's coming together pretty nicely, actually.
Well,
So,
I think only because for the obvious easier applications, this is a good way to start. The more complicated it gets, we're just gonna have to go through a little learning curve
yeah,
on
we're gonna
it.
have to grow with it.
Yep.
You're right.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
item 8D, we need to reschedule the October executive meeting.
Mr. Chair, if I may, for the board's consideration, how would we feel about doing that on a Thursday?
On a Thursday.
Yes. So rather than being the Friday, the 25th, we would conduct our executive board on Thursday, the 24th.
Don't we have
That's planning
planning commission
commission.
meeting 24th?
That's at night.
Once again. That's me. I attend that one.
Wow, you'd be there all day.
I might as well, yeah.
The only reason I ask is because the proposed rescheduled date, and I didn't know this either, is a employee recognition date, I guess, for Public Works. That has been in the past. It's been traditionally on that Friday. So I also, Friday, October 18th is MEA weekend. People might have plans that weekend.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't either. Is it really all about you? Because this changing
No,
the
no,
meeting
no.
in the first place was about me.
I will work with either one of the decisions. I'm just checking to make sure everybody else is on the same page.
I'm okay on the 18th or the 24th. It's,
As am I.
Really? Okay.
Megan, can you make that one?
oh, yeah, good question.
What about you, Jim?
I didn't know the 24th was popping out, but I'm sure
Someone will represent you for
that
that.
would,
Tell you
that'd be
what,
fine.
why don't we check, since the 18th and the 24th will work, why don't we find the date that works best for all concerned and arrive on one? Do we need to identify it at this meeting? No? Okay.
As a further suggestion, I mean, there's always, we could start earlier also. We start at 11, but, I mean, if an earlier time in the day would work.
No.
Is it before your rising time, or?
Well, some of us work.
Some of us have to work.
Well, we start at 11. You don't work.
It's a half day.
Oh, okay.
We start at 6 in the
Are
morning.
you implying I don't work? Come on.
All right, so we'll double check this and get back
Okay,
to it, right?
and we'll have a date firmed up for you for your next meeting to approve.
All right.
Okay.
That would be
Sounds
great, because the further ahead I can plan, the better.
good. Yeah, me too.
Megan, you want to check? You're a vital component to that. Okay,
As long as I write it down, I'm sure I can.
Okay.
make it work.
all right.
All right, to be continued.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have one added agenda item, item 9A, 5508 West Bald Eagle Boulevard.
Tom, do you want to start talking about this?
This is the garage that's under construction on West Bald Eagle Boulevard, the one related to Bald Eagle Island. Recall earlier this year, the applicant applied for a special permit to allow a guest cottage, which we determined would be more of a refuge area, which he proposed to put a second story on the garage. In addition to a conditional use permit for that use, it required, I think it was an 11-foot height variance for that particular use. That was denied by the board. The guest cottage use and any height variance, but the board did review and approve 2 setback variances, one from the right-of-way, one from the lake shore. So the landowner revised his plans, designed a new garage, brought in a proposed garage that was 15 feet high, measured from grade to the average of the highest gable, which was the direction staff gave. A lot of discussion, comments from residents. We took a second look at that, and we have several definitions of height that apply to garages, accessory structures, lakeshore accessory structures. And that came into question, and I'm wondering, did I err in saying 15 feet was the height, that was the maximum height based on our definitions? So, discussion with the town attorney prior to the meeting here, and maybe Chad, you could summarize some of the things we looked at, and where you think we're at with this.
The issue is this a accessory use or a principal use? And this is a very unique property in that it's its own separate tax parcel. While it does serve the island, it is a separate tax parcel. Therefore, it has to be considered as a lot by itself. And therefore, there is no other use on this lot other than a garage. So therefore, the garage is the principal use. It's not an accessory use, it's the principal use. Again, rather unique because this is the only situation I can think of where the principal use is a garage. Normally, a garage can't be a principal use, it can only be an accessory use. But in this case, it is a principal use, and it's permitted in this situation. So, from that standpoint, as a principal use, therefore it's a principal structure, and you'd apply the height rules for a principal structure, which under 8-6.4C is 25 feet. So they're well within, the structure's well within the 25-foot height limit for a principal building, principal structure. Again, it's a very unique situation.
Even though it's next to, I guess I'm going to answer my own question. Even though it's a lakeside building, if it's a principal use, it can have a higher variance than the restriction for a lakeshore accessory, which is only 10 feet.
Yes, it can, because it's not an accessory use, it's a principal use. So therefore, the principal use in a shoreland management would apply. For lakeshore would apply. Yeah, I say it's an extremely unique situation. I think this is the first time I've ever seen this occur in the township, where you have a garage as a principal use on a lakeshore property.
So right now, the garage is 15 feet high. Theoretically, it could be 25?
Apparently so.
Wasn't part of the original easement agreement? Oh, it only gave the size, it didn't give the height.
It only gave size, yeah, it didn't deal with height. Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, I hate to keep saying it, but this is a really unique parcel, a unique situation. I doubt you'll ever run across this again in the township.
Well, Tom, I know they changed the grade elevation. How much did they move that up? I mean, that obviously is not helping the,
I think it was a couple feet, but I'm guessing, I really should give you the specific number, and I'm not quite sure if I reviewed a grading plan or not.
but that's not helping the case for the neighbors with the thing being taller, because they raised the ground up before they started building it.
They did, and they filled a little bit of floodplain permitted by Rice Creek Watershed District and compensated for that.
So to your point, it could look as though it's bigger than 15
Right.
feet high. It could look like it's 17 or 18.
Yes, and I think that's part of the issue. They did raise it up because he was trying to ease his drainage issues off the road.
Because it was running into the garage.
Yeah, and it goes with the uniqueness of that particular piece of property.
And he does have permission from the watershed district, so he is playing by the rules.
Yeah.
Tom, where did the number 15 come from? If it's 10 foot for a lakeshore property, where did 15 come from?
That's both the height of an accessory structure, non-lakeshore, or a guest cottage, which we originally started out as a guest cottage with this.
All right, so the applicant's still within his requirements of what we allowed.
Yes, Yes, he's, the lakeshore setback requirement and the right-of-way setback requirement that was varied from, he is within those numbers.
Okay, so if that's the case, why are we discussing this?
Probably because I brought up the question, I was contacted, and I started asking Tom questions, and that led to more questions, and
Here we are.
here we are.
Well, I can understand why the neighbors are concerned, because it is,
It's definitely taller than the other
Yeah.
garage.
Yep.
Well, that was helpful to understand because my thought was the most restrictive, but that's why I'm not an attorney, the most restrictive would take precedence. But it sounds as though because this is a primary residence, it could be even taller.
it's
than
not even a
what it
primary
is.
residence, it's a primary structure.
Primary structure,
Yeah,
sorry.
Right. No, that's okay. I mean, yeah.
All right,
That's
well,
the
so-
only reason this is, they can do it at 15 feet, is because it is a primary structure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the keys besides the height is the increased sensitivity of the neighborhood for everything. It's like being in a bubble anyway, anything goes on there. But there was concerns over the application, the use of that garage, and I assured that our building inspector has met and looked to make sure he's doing exactly what we had agreed to do. There was gas and water run to the garage, which is perfectly acceptable. People heat their garage. So everything's done gets people sensitive. So I think that's good to know that the height is.
All right, well, so to your point, Scott, at least now it's on the record why the rationale behind
Yep.
what's going on there.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Item number 10 is open time. Is there anyone here to speak for open time? Barb, you got anything?
Deb.
Deb, I mean.
I want to be Barb tonight. She wants to be Deb tonight,
Sorry, Deb.
just like he wants to be Scott.
All right, hearing no one for open time on item number 11. I need a motion for receipt of agenda materials and supplements.
Can I add one thing? It's a plug. Tomorrow night is Night to Unite,
Oh, yeah.
and for anybody here or on television, if they get to see it, it's a night to go out and meet your neighbors. There's lots of local groups gathering, and if you don't know where there's any in your neighborhood, they could call the township, I'm sure, and find out where the nearest gathering is. Tomorrow night.
Ramsey County Sheriff will be out in force, so will White Bear
So
Fire
everybody behave
Department.
yourselves.
So will we. At least I will.
And our Public Safety Commission will be out, so.
Yes. Now, go ahead.
All right, item 11, a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Item number 12, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned at 8:15.